Welcome to Joyous Everyday Living with Beth Amine. With 50 years of experience as an author, speaker, visual artist, dancer, and teacher of self-expression, Beth Amine will help you to access your inner joy and well-being through art, celebration, and community. In her book, Joyous Everyday Living, Beth presents a simple system to cultivate a long, healthy life while maintaining the ecstasy of being alive. Beth will inspire you to connect with your inner being and live in alignment with your authentic, powerful self so that you can, as Beth says, party till checkout time.
These Positive Possibility podcasts are meant to refresh your mind and inspire you to be an imaginal self, helping to recreate our cultural stories and personally access the liberating benefits of changing times.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to our weekly episode of Joyous Everyday Living. I'm so glad you're joining us. The pursuit of joy or the embodiment of joy is something that is inherent to us as we are alive on this beautiful planet. And the guests that I bring to you always have wonderful approaches and beautiful possibilities of positive nature for our planetary future. And today, my guest, Jacquie Chandler, who's a dear friend, she is the founder and the executive director of Sustainable Tahoe. So she's very involved with nature and the life of the planet and how we interact with it, how we want to recreate that relationship in these new times so that, yes, it is more sustainable and ultimately more beautiful and more joyous for all the life on the planet. Hello, Jacquie. Welcome. She's in Tahoe right now.
Grateful to share this time with you, Beth, discussing the possibilities in this pandemic twilight zone experience for our culture, because we're used to a certain behavior, a certain rhythm. And I don't think, for the most part, the rhythm of our modern culture has been very helpful or supportive. I see a lot of people hungry and looking to explore behaviors that are more conducive to supporting our individual and collective selves as we move forward to the butterfly. We've talked about being in this cocoon, and I think it's the cocoon of consciousness, the consciousness of our culture. And each of us is an imaginal cell in that consciousness. So we all have a responsibility and a superpower to affect this cocoon of consciousness. The time is right now to look at what kind of behaviors can we adopt that will be more conducive to moving from this caterpillar with way too many legs into the light, beautiful butterfly that is so well illustrated on the front of your book, Joyous Living, which is definitely still the handbook that I recommend as a way to navigate into the next phase. And I also have been looking at Sustainable Tahoe, even though it looks like the mission is very site specific to Lake Tahoe. Tahoe, Da'awaga, the native word, is about water. And so sustaining Tahoe is about sustaining the water. And we're all in this water together, and 0.1% hits a critical mass that can affect all water. Think about taking a bath and you drop a few drops of something in that bath water. It permeates the whole water. So don't underestimate the power you have as an imaginal cell to construct a new behavior in our culture that will be more life-supporting for all the life. The three messages that define our mission as Sustainable Tahoe is to walk softly, respect wildlife, and then share gratitude. Walk softly is a metaphor, and it's literal too. Up here in Tahoe, we mean to be mindful as you walk that you don't disturb so many life forms in the ecosystem. The idea is to build a relationship with your walk and the walk on the earth. And it's also walk softly with each other. Your book speaks to that, how you can start with yourself and uncover and release the creativity that is part of your walk. Like, understand, what is your walk? What are you here to journey on? Has the way you've been in the pre-COVID life, is it really helping that? and has this pause not given everybody, all of us, a timeout in this cocoon to think about, is my walk in line with my talk, and also with how I can be in the greatest service? This is the only thing we take with us when we die, is the impact we've had. And so walking softly, I think, is a key element.
Well, I just think that's so beautiful when you said be soft with each other, because it's so timely as well, as we're working through the whole COVID thing. And we're realizing that every single individual has a different approach to it, like what they're afraid of, what they're not afraid of, what they want to do to. Some people aren't concerned with others, and some are very concerned with others. And so I think that the walk softly, and I'm just learning to really, if we are going to essentially all unify, we will never think exactly the same. Every human is going to think completely differently, right? So there has to be a softness,
right,
that, I mean, about like, oh, okay, so that's how you're going to do it. I'll take a look at that. It may not be what I'm going to do, but you know what? Okay, that's your universe, and that's walking softly, and that's actually the depth of kindness, really. And if we all did that, then we could all really be different, but be okay together.
Exactly. The diversity is our greatest strength, and it's not saying to homogenize. The cocoon will only move forward. There's all kinds of colors in that butterfly. And so you're absolutely right. And you know what you made me think of when you said that is that in the Course in Miracles, you're familiar with the Course in Miracles?
Yes.
I love how the basic premise of it is there's two human expressions, love or a call for love. And
love or what?
There's either love or a cry for love.
Oh, wow.
People are either putting out love, they're either walking softly, and exactly what you're saying, how, let me think about that idea. I hadn't thought of that. Let me process that. Or it's a cry for love. The cry for love is fear, insecurity. You know, you see the cry for love is screaming right now.
Yes.
It's screaming. And so walking with the earth is where the best ideas, where everything comes from. I mean, I really literally prescribe that people take walks with the earth and walk softly on the earth, because what you build in the body, you build in the mind, which builds into your actions, which influences everything. And that will change your talk. Your walk will affect your talk. Mm-hmm. And that mindfulness will carry over. The other message is respect wildlife. Now, when you first hear that, you might think, well, that just means like the animals that are wild. But we are all wild, and all life is intrinsically wild. Our culture has tried to put us all in pots to you know, and when you're root bound, it's very difficult to be heard, be yourself, and it's very easy to fall into a cry for love rather than give love, rather than have that expression of love. And so respecting wildlife is respect the wild in you, which again in your book is about the dance and the expression, the creative expression. That's the juice that pulls people into you. When they see this creative expression, they get inspired and they go, well, I wouldn't exactly paint it that way, but I'm inspired now to try to paint it. And so respect wildlife is the full range of recognizing yourself as wildlife that has been plotted. But when you recognize that wild energy and you respect it in others, and you don't get afraid, and you don't go, you stay in love instead of a cry for love. And by all of us taking this time to be responsible for walking softly and respecting wild life.
I've never had that thought before, and that really is outrageous, that we are all wild in our essence. And essentially that just means that somehow our uniqueness and our authenticity has not been developed as well as it might be. And that's why I'm always such an advocate of making art. It really attunes you to your unique flavor of yourself, or whatever that is, where you can self-explore and find out your own unique flavors and allow that to just blossom and grow and simmer and all. And the walking, the walking is movement. And again, that whole thing about movement, it's like not only a moving meditation, but it's movement through life, and it's without being stuck. And I've never really heard about it being put in a pot like that. And that's it. Your roots get stymied. There's no way to really expand. And we are creatures of expansion. That's why we're here. We're here to grow, and we're here to expand. We're here to love, and we're here to explore. That's interesting, because sometimes people will say to me, have in the past, not lately, it's like, Beth, you're wild. And I always kind of take offense at that. Like, how can I possibly be wild? I'm so moderate and I'm all disciplined all the time. But I get it. It's just, it's a being not stuckness, free to explore and express who you are. And it really is a fearless place too, isn't it?
It is a fearless place. And I love what you say, because it's like you avoided root rot. See, there's a lot of root rot because you allowed your creativity to continually set you free, to embrace the uniqueness that you bring into the diversity. I mean, we've seen what homogenized agriculture has done to the land. It's the diversity that keeps the land healthy. We don't want all dandelions. Don't you love a bouquet with a variety? And that's who we are as human beings. We're all these different colors and the rainbow and all this stuff that we know metaphorically and realistically. And that's what evolves us. That's what evolves us, is people thinking different.
So if we really reflect on how we can be the most helpful, the prescription, as we've been just talking about, would be to find at least one way every day to walk softly with yourself and with other people in your environment, so that you can celebrate their diversity, or at least be open to exploring other people's approaches to life. The second thing is to respect the wildlife that you are and let that come out more, because that is really your gift. That is your walk. And then once those two things have some grounding in your psyche and in your behavior patterns, the final thing is to be grateful for that. And then sharing the gratitude you feel for your own contribution, your own well-being, the well-being of those around you, all wildlife, and have that become the core moral compass of the butterfly that represents the new culture that only we individually and collectively create. We can do this. And so I ask people to think on that and walk on that, and then share your thoughts with this podcast in the comment section, or with other people around you. Come on a podcast with Beth and add to this discussion.
Wow, great, Jackie. That's beautiful. I love the ending with the gratitude piece too. That's so important. When you even make a list of positive aspects of your life, it sets your whole vibrational nature to a different plane. You become connected with everything. It's such a simple thing, and we often forget in our level of complaint or wanting the next thing. And it's very, very powerful. And I think those 3 steps are extremely beautiful, and ways that we can start to shift and create new, since things have definitely broken down. So now is the time to start rewriting our new story based on kindness and accepting of all this difference that goes on our planet. This is another episode of Joyous Everyday Living, a positive possibility podcast for the planet. I might add a few more P's on that one, but I'm so glad that you joined us today, and keep tuned in and keep the high road, because we can all do this. We can all do this together. So thank you so much. Jackie, you were wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Joyous Everyday Living. To join this joyous movement, please go to bethamine.com for news, workshops, and fun celebrations. Follow Beth's Facebook page, Joyous Everyday Living, or send her an email at joyousmovement@gmail.com. Create a blueprint for your own fresh, unique, empowered way of being with Beth Amine's book, Joyous Everyday Living, available on Amazon.
The Joyous Everyday Living podcast is produced by Hub for Podcasting. To stream new and past episodes, or to learn more about producing your own podcast, visit hubforpodcasting.com.